Steven Universe and all associated images are property of Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar, and any and all other respective owners. I don't know them all. All footage in this video has been used for the purpose of critique parody under fair use. Please support the official release. Well, that was certainly an interesting two-part episode. Guys, Super Watermelon Island and Gem Drill have come and gone. The third season of Steven Universe has begun, and while I did say in my review of the double episode that I wasn't really surprised by much of what happened, I didn't find it a dissatisfying half hour of television at all. In fact, I very much enjoyed it, and it got me thinking about a lot of things, some of which I'm going to be spending the next couple of weeks after this video discussing, since I do feel like I need a little bit of time to get my thoughts in order. However, there is one subject which was brought up in the double episode that I do feel the need to discuss today, and that is the future of the character Jasper. What role will she play in the series going forward? And this is in some ways going to be reminiscent of my bismuth video where I discuss some of my favorite ideas on the subject rather than just forming one coherent theory. That said, though, I do want to address a couple of things that some people have been bringing up in regards to this topic first and get them out of the way. First of all, I find it highly unlikely that Jasper is dead. For those who missed the double episode and are here because they don't mind spoilers, at the end of Super Watermelon Island, after Alexandrite defeats Malachite and Malachite poofs into Jasper and Lapis, tremors caused by the soon-to-emerge cluster caused a fissure to open in the ground of Mask Island, and Jasper fell into it. And even though we didn't hear a single word of dialogue from Jasper that wasn't spoken by Malachite the entire episode, even though Jasper is a major antagonistic force in the show, who has her own character and her own story, who fans have been wanting to see more of, and have been wanting to see given a story arc, some people think that they would simply kill her off. And I want to say pretty frankly that that's just ridiculous. Matt Burnett himself has talked about the fact that Jasper was conceived as a very complex character, and quite frankly, we haven't really seen a lot of that complexity yet, so why say that if they don't plan to use the character more? In fact, the word that he uses specifically is complicated. He actually makes a reference to the colors of Magic the Gathering, the popular collectible card game. Each of the colors in that game is associated with a specific trait. So a lot of people who like to do personality assessments of characters will label them with the colors from this card game in the same way that a person might describe their own personality using the Myers-Briggs personality type indicator test. Matt Burnett says that he would probably describe Jasper as white, black, red, which colors her as someone who is quick, brutal, and completely dedicated to their cause, which describes Jasper as we know her very, very well. The inclusion of white, the color associated with strong belief systems, tells us that Jasper chose Homeworld's side deliberately, but it also tells us that she chose that side because she believed it was right. That some part of her does believe that what Homeworld is doing is genuinely the best for all of Gemkind. It is possible that Jasper can come to see that that isn't the case, that there is a better way for Gemkind to survive and thrive, and that she could come around and apply that strong dedication to the side of the crystal gems. It's why a lot of fans think that Jasper is on her way towards a redemption arc. And I will go ahead and say right now that I happen to agree. The other thing that people have been bringing up recently about Jasper falling into the crack in the earth that I want to address very, very briefly is that a lot of fans think that Jasper is going to fall all the way to the cluster and pop the bubble surrounding it, reintroducing the threat of the cluster to the series, and it's going to happen fairly soon. Again, to just be entirely direct, that's ridiculous. We know that the cluster was buried somewhere around the area which in our version of the Earth would be California, not underneath an island. We also know that Steven and Peridot had to dig through a layer of molten peridotite in order to reach the cluster. Peridotite is primarily found 400 kilometers beneath the surface of the Earth. That's about 250 miles, and is well beyond the crust of the Earth and into the mantle. We know that the tremors caused by the cluster were global. If those tremors were creating 400-kilometer deep fissures in the crust and mantle of the Earth, the crust of the planet would have just shaken itself off and out into space, and everyone would be dead. There's no way that those fissures reach all the way to the cluster, and I just don't see Jasper digging 400 kilometers down towards something that she isn't even sure of the location of when she's nowhere near it to begin with. So I think we can say with reasonable certainty that Jasper is not going to encounter the cluster underground and is not going to pop the bubble and release it again, at least not because of the events of Super Watermelon Island. It may happen at some point in the future, I don't know, but it's not going to happen because of what happened in this episode. The scene where Jasper fell into the earth was just a convenient way for the writers to separate Jasper from the crystal gems. So here's what I think is going to happen to Jasper, just very, very briefly, and I'm going to suggest a few things here. They may not all quite mesh together. I'm just going to suggest a few scenarios that I think are most likely. Jasper is now alone. She is either still on Mask Island or she is somewhere nearby, out in the ocean. Unless this has changed recently and I'm unaware of it, there is a planned upcoming episode called Alone at Sea. What if that episode is somehow about Jasper? What if it is somehow about Jasper finding herself alone out in the world, out there interacting with the things here on this earth in a very personal way for the very first time? We know from experience, because of Rose's history, that it is possible for a loyal Quartz soldier to come to appreciate something so much that she will turn her back on homeworld. What if something similar to that happens to Jasper? We know Jasper is an aggressive person. That's a fact. But we also know that Jasper doesn't bother focusing that aggression at targets that don't fully warrant her attention. We also know that Jasper has a really healthy respect for those who earn it. What if some aspect of the earth or nature or humanity even earns Jasper's respect? Enough to get her thinking that there might be a better way for Gemkind than the way that Homeworld has laid out. And what if whatever these circumstances end up being, which start to change Jasper's mind, stem from the fact that she's gravely injured, and that she would likely be at the mercy of anyone she encountered. If you go and rewatch Super Watermelon Island, you'll notice that after diffusing, we do not once see Jasper's face. In every single scene, her face is either turned away from the camera or covered by her hair. Why do that? Well, her gemstone is on her face. It's right there, smack dab in the middle of it. What if her gem is cracked? What if her body starts failing her, like Amethyst did? What if she's unable to summon a weapon, like Lapis? What if she's actually in physical pain? And what if someone, Steven or one of the other gems or virtually anyone else with even the smallest bit of kindness in their heart finds Jasper in this moment of weakness and vulnerability and helps her, humbling her and earning her respect and her gratitude? I think that could be a fairly decent foundation upon which to build a redemption arc. And I would love to see Jasper interacting more with the crystal gems. I think that she and Garnet could be great for each other as sparring partners, pushing each other to the limits, forcing each other to tighten up their weaknesses and improve their strengths. I think that Jasper could be a fantastic mentor for Amethyst, who doesn't know what it means to be a quartz, who doesn't know how to use all of her abilities. And I think that she and Pearl could have some fantastic interactions as well, with the two of them forming a real and genuine bond over combat tactics and weaponry. And as another quartz, one who knew his mother personally, I think that Jasper could be great for Steven as well, bringing a new perspective on his mother into his life and allowing him to learn more about her than he would have otherwise. Think of it from this angle. The crystal gems all admired Rose. They knew her personally, but they all admired her pretty much as long as they knew her. But she was an enemy to Jasper, an enemy who Jasper respected, but still an enemy. But if Jasper comes to think of the crystal gems as allies or even friends, and starts to change her opinion of Rose to think of her less as an enemy and more as a rival, she might be able to tell Steven stories about his mother as seen from a perspective that none of the other crystal gems have. And quite frankly, if anyone is ever going to tell us anything about the war and Rose's part in it, wouldn't it be someone like Jasper, who was present during the war and saw and acknowledged the darker side of Rose? In the end, it is just as likely that Jasper is going to remain an antagonistic force in the series, that she is going to cause trouble for the crystal gems, that she is going to go back to Homeworld, and that she's never going to get a redemption arc where she becomes allies or even friends with the main characters. But I certainly think that that would be a waste, and I hope that the writers feel the same way. Still, I feel that if she only ever remains an antagonist, Jasper will still be a perfectly entertaining character, and either way I look forward to seeing more of her in the show going forward. Special thanks to my good friend Fierce Flavored, aka SU Amadot, over on Tumblr, for bringing Matt Burnett's statements regarding the gems and their corresponding Magic the Gathering colors to my attention. I hadn't seen that yet, and it really helped me to articulate a lot of my thoughts in this video. That said, guys, what do you think regarding this subject? What are your opinions on Jasper's fate? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later. Do you have a theory idea or merely a musing about the show that you'd like me to discuss? You can head on over to my Facebook page and send me a message detailing your ideas, and if I find them interesting enough, I'll be sure to respond. Or you could head on over to my Tumblr page and send me an ask. If it's not something that I've covered before, I'll be sure to answer. If you are on Facebook or Tumblr, I also recommend that you like and or follow me there as well to keep up to date on all of my content as well as any supplementary content that I might post on either of those sites. And if you know anyone on Facebook or Tumblr who might find my content interesting, please share it with them. I'd really appreciate it.